Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you live from Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a great weekend. Hi Marjona, hi Mariam, hi Arwind. Nice to see members and students already in the class. That is fantastic. Welcome everyone. In this class, we are looking at IELTS, the speaking section, specifically part 3, and I will tell you some strategies and tips on what you need to do to become a master and get those high band scores, what that requires. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there for the general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of help for you, including free speaking functionality, video chat with other students. So just go to our websites and check that out. This is our academic IELTS website here. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. We're an official British Council IELTS registration center in Saudi Arabia. You can contact us if you're there. We can help you register for your exam. And for the general IELTS, it's the green background. Click that big red button to join us there. I will quickly show you where you can go to practice your speaking for free. Once you create an account, you can create a free account by trying the demo version of our course. Just click that green button. And then you have a My Student account that you can enter. You click on that. Works on your phone, of course, as well as your desktop or tablet. And then you have this Student Partner Speaking button in your My Student account. And once you click on that, you get another window opening up. And in that window, you will find other students who are waiting to practice their speaking. We always have someone in here. Right now we have Chandra, Hassan, ASIM, Shahzad, Aslan. So people from all around the world. There's usually 5-10 people just hanging out waiting for someone to contact them and start speaking. So definitely check that out. And you have questions as well there, okay? And you can do video, audio, be polite, and focus on IELTS. Don't get lost in other topics. So let me just close that, otherwise people are going to ping me during the lesson. Okay, everyone, of course you can get our apps also. Academic IELTS Help app, links to aehelp.com. General IELTS Help app, links to gieltshelp.com. Let me brighten up our day here a bit. I know it was a bit dark there. That was just for showing you that website. All right. Today we still have this speaking part 3 coming up right now. So it's going to be some great practice for everyone. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, no class. And then I'm back on Wednesday with speaking part 1. Hi, honey. Hi, Kashirsha. Nice to see our members. Hi, Carolina. Next week, lots of classes. Make sure to participate, improve. I will post next week's schedule on our YouTube community board also after this class. Okay, everyone. Speaking part 3 follows speaking part 2. It's a bit more challenging than speaking part 1, of course. There's specific questions related to the topic of part 2. You have to focus on expressing yourself clearly and completely, okay? So it's not just chit-chat, okay? You're not just having an everyday conversation, but you're having a professional conversation. So express yourself clearly and completely. Answering like a master means that you give an answer plus explanation plus example within the context of the question, using good grammar and good vocabulary. Okay, now one more tip here is use the question for your answer. I'll talk more about this as we get into it. I want you to practice, so let's just do it. Let's just get into part 3. Hi, Eugene. Thank you for those emojis. Hopefully everybody gets as happy and pumped as I do when we see those. All right, so part 3, here we go. Let's talk about news and media. Hot topic, typical topic, definitely a good one to practice. How do people usually hear about the latest news? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So how do people usually hear about the news? Okay. Again, answer. Think about explanation as well. All right. Ibrahim says basically most people watch the latest news on TV or on their phones because it's comfortable for them. All right. I think the start is good, Ibrahim, but you could do a little bit better on the explanation and maybe throw in an example as well. Hoang Anbui says, the general population often learns about the latest events via news feeds on social media, primetime TV programs, not to mention online articles. Of course, there are also traditional means, such as word of mouth or printed newspaper, but their popularity is certainly waning due to the pandemic or unmatched convenience of online news. Very nice, Hoang. That's a beautiful answer. Lots of great vocabulary. That would get you a high band score. Couple of small corrections. But overall, Hoang, fantastic. Not instead of latest happenings, Hoang, latest events is a bit more natural, a bit more common. So latest events. Primetime TV, that's considered between 6 and 8 o'clock. It's really good. Okay, that's a very nice expression that you're using there. I like it. Okay, that's high-level English. Good job. An says, people frequently read or hear about the latest affairs either on TV or in social media. I would say 20 to 30 news article per week, especially during this ongoing global pandemic. People are constantly checking updates and okay, An, I can see that you're still going with it. Great start, An. Okay, very good. KK Dillon says the younger generation uses mostly their mobile phones to access the news, whereas the older generation still prefers to watch it on TV. I know I get my news through the CNN app, but my dad watches the CNN news channel every night during prime time at 6 o'clock. We both check out mostly the same kinds of news, like updates on the pandemic, but through these different mediums. Very good, Dylan. I added some information to make it even better. Okay. Okay. Hoang Anbui says, it's me, Kevin Bui, in case you didn't match the English. Yeah, that was good. All right, I've got you, Kevin. I've got you. So you're using your official name instead of your nickname. Good for you. All right. Rashika says, normally people are aware of the current news from electronic media as well as written journalism, such as the television and newspaper. However, as a result of technological advancements, most people tend to get the news through mobile and digital means. Okay. Anna, I see the rest of it. To get news on the latest cures and newest vaccines. Very nice. Okay, I can tell lots and lots of students have been preparing for this class. Double thumbs up on the start here, everyone. That's fantastic. That's beautiful. It really is. I can see lots of great answers up there by Kashir, Shahani, Gian are members as well. That's good. Keep it rocking and rolling. I'm going to write an answer here as well. Maybe I'll take a look at a couple more and we'll keep the flow, okay? So how do people usually hear about the latest news? So most people stay up to date. on current affairs. Okay, this is a very typical way and a natural way to say latest news, current affairs. Latest news, current affairs. Okay, up to date is to be in the now. Okay, so most people stay up to date on current affairs through either social media on their mobiles or primetime news broadcasts on TV. The younger generation tends to favor the former, and the older generation, like my father, likes the latter. Just last week, I read the news about the COVID vaccine on a Facebook thread, while my father got it from the Channel 6 news. All right. So taking into account what some of you have responded to this, again, using that nice paraphrasing, using the question and thinking answer, explanation, and example. Here we go. Let's talk about news and media. Now, this is speaking, everybody, so let's speak and repeat, okay? So copy my speed, copy my words, my pronunciation, my intonation, even copy my stress. I speak with quite a bit of energy. I'm often quite energized in these classes. So even copy that. It's good to be energetic and even a little bit melodramatic in your IELTS exam, especially if you're doing a computer-based video chat version of the speaking test. Let's do this. So follow with me. Let's talk about news and media. How do people usually hear about the latest news? Well, most people stay up to date on current affairs through either social media or on their mobiles or primetime news broadcasts on TV. The younger generation tends to favor the former, and the older generation, like my father, likes the latter. Just last week, I read the news about the COVID vaccine on a Facebook thread, while my father got it from the Channel 6 news. Super. If that's a bit fast, don't worry about it. I will slow down for some of these questions and answers. I'm definitely just pushing some of those students who are at a higher level as well. Mahmoud Fayed, thank you. You're making me blush. That's very kind of you. Okay, so the next question. Here we go. Let's do this. So what different types of news do people mostly follow? Give me a nice answer for this one. So what different types of news do people mostly follow? I go, oh, okay. Oh, okay. There are definitely a few different types. Just let me gather my thoughts around this question. Well, if I think of the newspaper pages, I can certainly think of, okay? Okay, let's see what you've put up there. Now, I kind of gave you a lead on this one because I want you to think about what I'm doing here while you're planning and writing, for those of you who are still coming up with your answers. Umit, I'm doing fantastic. Okay. All right, Erkin says, in my opinion, people tend to follow harsh news like the latest pandemic changes as the kind of news that bothers people or stresses people. It is common for people to get into this kind of news rather than positive news. Okay, Erkin, it's a little bit too opinionated. It's too much your personal kind of get it in there. Keep it simple for IELTS, Erkin. Your goal is to get a high band score. Forget your opinion about positive, negative news. Think simpler. What are the different types of news? Okay, there's an easier answer for this one, and I'm sure you're going to see that in just a moment. OS says there's various types of news people are interested in, such as political, economic, fashion, weather. Personally, I follow political news, whether local or international, because I like to stay up on current affairs that affect my life. Okay, oh, it's not bad. You forgot one, health news, right? Especially these days. Stuti says it depends on people's interests. They have numerous opinions like politics, healthcare, lifestyle, celebrities, which is also called gossip, global, technology, and education. Yeah, some sites that I have on my phone, like CNN, give me a variety of these, and I browse through them each day. Very good, Stuti. Very good. Nicely done. Huangan Bui says, all right, I think I've missed the top part of that. Let's see. Huangan Bui says, news content that has the highest coverage these days, hands down, is the pandemic because it's the elephant in the room. More specifically, people often search about daily transmissions, tallies, as well as some frequently visited news sections like the weather, psychology, and many people are desperate for mental relief during these testing times. Okay, Hoang, not bad. I think you're also kind of going off on a tangent there. I would keep my answer a little bit more on point. Chrysolite Jyoti says, there are a plethora of news that come up every day as economic, education, sports, weather, health, technology, local. The current situation is mostly focusing on the ongoing changes of the pandemic. Chrysolite, very good. So you're leading with the answer. Always lead with the answer. Okay. So notice what I did here, students. Check this out. Okay. What different types of news do people mostly follow? And I'm using an interesting strategy here. So I go, okay, there are definitely a few different types. So notice this kind of interesting strategy here, where basically the question's affirmative. So in this question, I know that there's definitely an answer here, and there's definitely several different types of news. That's given from the question, what different types of news? So I know there's different types. Now, to think of these different types of news, especially because in the IELTS exam, I'm probably a little bit nervous. The ideas might not be coming as quickly for some questions. So I pace myself, I stay natural. I'm original here because I'm very specific to the question. Okay, there are definitely a few different types. Just let me gather my thoughts around this question. So this is a good way to buy myself a few seconds and then switch to another strategy here where I visualize. Okay, so I'm personally visualizing the headings or the different sections of the new eggs list, or the used pages, for example, that show different kinds of news as well, or an application like the CNN or a CBC app that shows you different categories. So what's important here is that you think of a specific example, and then from that you can develop a really good answer, as some of you have done. Okay, so everybody catching this? So I'm using the question in a very specific way to buy myself time to think of those multiple answers, because this one's looking for at least 3 to 4 different answers, seeing if you can come up with that vocabulary and put it together. So here we go. And again, repeat after me. What different types of news do people mostly follow? Okay, well, there are definitely a few different types. Just let me gather my thoughts around this question. Well, if I think of the newspaper pages, I can certainly think of business, economics, politics, sports, entertainment, as well as lifestyle, and not in the least these days, health. People all around the world are keeping a close eye on the COVID situation, as well as its impacts on the global economy, travel, and politics. Okay, so many of you mentioned healthcare, but see, as I'm flowing with my thoughts, I immediately realize that, hey, wait a second, COVID's having an impact, not just on health news, but definitely a lot of impact on news around the economy, around travel, and around politics. And that's what it means to speak like a master. You're not just coming up with the right words, but you're also coming up with the right information. Okay, and we talked about this a little bit with members in the last class on how to develop that quick, creative thinking. Okay, all right, let's do this one more time. So one more time, I'm going to go a little bit slower so everybody can keep pace. Okay, so here we go. What different types of news do people mostly follow? Oh, okay. There are definitely a few different types. Just let me gather my thoughts around this question. Well, if I think of the newspaper sections, I can certainly think of business, economics, politics, sports, entertainment, as well as keeping a close eye on the COVID situation. Especially keeping a close eye on the COVID situation, as well as its impact on the global economy, travel, and politics. Okay. And weather would be one for sure. News around the weather. Okay. All right. Here we go. Next question, getting a little bit more exciting. Why do some people avoid learning about the news on a daily basis? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So that includes me. Why do some people avoid learning about the news on a daily basis? Okay. Mariam Akbar says, some people try not listening or reading about the latest news daily, I think, because most of the news is sad and bad. So people don't want to feel depressed, and they want to focus on more positive aspects of life. Mariam, notice how I replaced the word things with positive aspects. Focus on the more positive aspects of life. I also made some changes, Mariam, to make it a little bit more natural. Go back later in the day, listen to this part, timestamp 24 minutes. So at 24 minutes is when I read your response. That's always what you can do, students, is check the time in the video when I'm reading your response, and then you can go back and see how I changed your response for it to be a higher band, okay, with grammar, words, fluency, and so on, okay? So pay attention to that, okay? All right. But definitely overall quite good, Mariam. All right. Rashika says there are several reasons that some individuals avoid learning about the news daily. The first one is they don't have a desire to know what's happening in their surroundings. Some people have hectic schedules to make a living and survive. so they don't have enough time to spend on the news. Another reason is the news is often very depressing and they want to stay positive and happy, so they avoid learning about these negatives in the world around them. Okay, Rashika, good. So if you say there are a couple of reasons, make sure to say at least two. Okay, Rashika? All right, Mahmoud says, people avoid keeping up with the news every day because the news is pessimistic and it impacts people's mood negatively. So people avoid it so that they don't get depressed and they look at the more positive sides of life. Okay, Mahmoud, good start. Finish that idea, okay? Sandeep Yadav says, in the contemporary era, that's awkward and it sounds like you're using a template, Sandeep. I would not start my answer with the in contemporary era. It's awkward. Nowadays, due to the availability of modern gadgets, some people are thrilled to play online games, watch videos rather than keeping up with the news, which they find boring. Okay, Sandeep, you have some good ideas. Don't ruin your answer with a weird cookie cutter template start like in the contemporary era. If the IELTS examiner hears this kind of a in the contemporary era, they're going to be like, really? Yeah, don't do that. Okay, it's not you, right? Ferdov says nowadays most people are okay. So nowadays most people are overloaded with their work, and after office hours they are exhausted. So they don't have time for gossip or even inauthentic and bad news, which requires more energy to digest. Ferdov's good ideas, original, just a couple of awkward use of words. Careful with that. Okay. All right, let's take one more. Shahil says, there are various types of news which are rolling around on a daily basis. For instance, there was an incident which happened in our country last year, and this news was continuously broadcast for a month. Shahil, you're off topic. You misunderstood a question. If you didn't catch the question the first time, Shahil, it's okay to say, can you please repeat that question? I didn't quite catch it. It's okay to do that once or twice. If they don't repeat it, whatever, at least you don't go off topic. Going off topic and giving a different answer than the question is basically the worst case scenario. You're losing marks and you're losing time. You don't want to do that. So don't lose marks and time from your interview. That's the worst situation. That happens when you're giving a completely strange off-topic answer. Okay? So why do some people avoid learning about the news on a daily basis? I believe that certain people intentionally either ignore or even dodge the latest news so that they can stay positive and focus their energy elsewhere. I mean, about 80% of all news is very doom and gloom. So it makes people depressed, and it can also eat up a lot of people's time and energy. In fact, these days, when the topic of COVID comes up in my friendly discussions, we often choose to avoid this beaten horse and go on to another topic. All right, so here I'm really cranking up that band level with some really good flow, natural language, answer, explanation, example. Okay, so here we go. Follow with me. I will explain this answer in detail, okay? And I'm not going to rush through it. So why do some people avoid learning about the news on a daily basis? I believe that certain individuals intentionally either ignore or even dodge the latest news. So that's paraphrasing the question. Why? So that they can stay positive and focus their energy elsewhere. I mean about 80%, so I'm giving a number here to add clarity, of all news is very doom and gloom. Doom and gloom is an expression which means like, oh, it's the end of the world, okay? So it makes people depressed, and it can also eat up a lot of people's time and energy. So another simple but effective idiom, to eat up. Eat up means to use. Okay, and it's usually a negative. So if I'm eating up a lot of someone's time, it's not in a positive way. In fact, these days, when the topic of COVID comes up in my friendly discussions, we often choose to avoid this beaten horse and go on to another idea. Now, is that the truth? No, I mean, it is an important topic, so it's good to discuss, and there's value there. But yeah, we talk about it so much that nowadays people are like, I've heard it. Let's talk about something different, unless it's something new, right? So, all right. So again, several different idioms there. When you catch these idioms, make sure to write it down, okay, so that you can use it in the future, okay? So make sure to write it down so you can use it in the future. Okay, here we go. Next question. How has the news changed in recent years? Give me a nice full sentence for this one. So how has the news changed in recent years? Again, present perfect. It's present perfect question. Answer, explain, give an example. Okay. Arda says, well, it's a tough question because in my opinion, I don't think the news has changed a lot. But in recent years, we have seen a lot of bad news, like global issues. And when it comes to this year, we've seen exceptionally great amount of information on the pandemic. So the style of news has changed the same, or the tone, Arda, of news has changed, has stayed the same, but the content has changed, okay? Arda, use the present perfect. So I don't think the news has changed a lot. This is good. Use some more present perfect, okay? An says, the news has changed drastically over the past few years. What I mean is that now the news has had much more up-to-date information because of the speed of technology and information, and has reflected more solutions to the current problems of society. Okay, An, it's a good start, and you're staying positive, which is great. Very good, and you're using the present perfect over and over. That's what you want to do. Okay, very nice. All right. Janelle says, in the last 2 decades, the news has significantly changed due to technological development. Nowadays, people can easily watch and read the news on their phones and TV at the click of a button. Very good, Janelle. It's a good start. I would go a little bit more. All right. Mahmoud says, in recent years, the news has changed, especially with the coronavirus, which has affected people around the globe. Not just several countries, Mahmoud. I'm pretty sure it's everywhere it's having an effect. More or less, but everywhere. Whether it's health, economic, travel, it's having an effect everywhere. Okay. Vaishnavi says, we can observe that the pattern of the news coming to our ears has changed by adding some spicy content to it. Social media platforms are playing a vital role these days. and they were not around a few decades ago. Yeah, okay. Vaishnavi, century, maybe a bit much. I would go with a few decades ago. Okay. Gian Titan says, due to the current situation of the outbreak, of the COVID outbreak, the news has changed dramatically. Global authorities have been making efforts to solve this COVID crisis, and this has required international collaboration on a global front among news channels and news media, unlike ever before. Okay, all right, Gian, I spiced up your answer a bit so that it gets a higher band score, okay? Rams Almir says, I do believe that the news has dramatically changed compared to the past. Nowadays, we know about current affairs through social media on a daily basis. And in the past, we knew about it less frequently through the weekly newspaper. Okay? You're very welcome, Titan. All right. Honey says, I believe the news has changed much compared to the past, as now all people have access to a variety of news sources and topics like lifestyle, technology, local and global, which was not as readily available to all people 20 to 30 years ago. Okay, honey, good start. Again, I made a few corrections there, honey. It's 36 minutes, 30 seconds, so check those corrections at this time, okay? Here we go. So, yeah, the news has certainly, I love that word, evolved in recent times, both in its medium and content. As I had mentioned previously, technological advancement, specifically the internet and mobiles, have made the news much more available to people around the globe. As well, back in the 20th century, much of news focused on global crisis like the Cold War, and now the focus is on the viral pandemic. Okay. So content, however, it has stayed somewhat the same in the sense that it's still quite negative, right? So I'll put that in there. However, it has stayed relatively the same in the sense that the news is filled with pessimistic or negative content to keep people in a worrisome state. All right. What's next? Aliens? Okay, here we go. So repeat after me. How has the news changed in recent years? I'm recognizing the present perfect right away, and immediately I think, okay, I have to use the present perfect as much as possible here in my responses. So here we go. Repeat after me. The news has certainly evolved, The news has certainly evolved in recent times, both in its medium and content. As I had mentioned previously, technological advancements, specifically the internet and mobiles, have made the news much more available to people around the globe. As well, back in the 20th century, much of the news focused on global crises like the Cold War, and now the focus is on the viral pandemic. However, it has stayed relatively the same in the sense that the news is filled with negative content to keep people in a worrisome state. All right, so far so good. And you're moving along nicely. So at this point, the examiner is going to switch gears and say, okay, well, let's talk about positive thinking. Whew, all of that negative, all of that sadness. Let's talk about positive thinking. Do you think positive thinking has an effect on physical health? So part 2 was probably something about the news and something about the negative and positive content of news. Okay, we can assume. All right. Babu 242, congrats on passing the IELTS. I hope you got the scores you need to go on to the next steps. All right. So Mariam says positive thinking and positive mind has a really good effect on our physical health. I've seen a case from a family of mine who had cancer, who had a serious form of cancer, but because of their positive thinking and strong spirit, she was able to heal and defeat cancer. So I really believe that positive thoughts are indeed a way to stay healthy or become healthy. Very good, Mariam. I'm happy about that family member. Absolutely. If that's what happened and you're not just coming up with an answer for it. But yeah, that's great. Okay. Stuti says, yes, I agree with this thought. In fact, positive thinking not only affects our physical health, but also our mental health. I mean, it's interconnected. A depressed person cannot do their work with efficiency. Stuti, I think it's you're going off topic there with that a little bit. Focus on physical health. Okay. Rashika says, yes, I agree with this statement because positive thinking helps people to stay calm and less stressed. The reason for many issues such as heart disease and stroke is stress. So staying calm and less stressed are ways to avoid these dangerous types of illnesses and conditions. Rashika, very good. Okay, nicely done. Yeah, I think I've asked this question a couple of times in different part 3 responses, and I feel it's because I'm sending you a message here as well. So let's do this. Do you think positive thinking has an effect on physical health? Absolutely. I strongly believe that a healthy mind helps to maintain a healthy body and vice versa. I mean that when when a person is generally happy, they have low blood pressure, they have good blood pressure, I should say, and an efficient metabolism, as opposed to a person who is often stressed and in danger of high blood pressure and all kinds of physical ailments. Okay, so there's my answer. Just repeat after me. So very visible, and it's good. Yeah, if you can come up with that connection of stress and cardiac disease, high blood pressure, overeating, right? Stress leads to overeating as well. Here we go. Do you think positive thinking has an effect on physical health? Absolutely. I strongly believe that a healthy mind helps to maintain a healthy body and vice versa. I mean that when a person is generally happy, they have good blood pressure and an efficient metabolism, as opposed to a person who is often stressed and in danger of high blood pressure and all kinds of physical ailments. Okay, and notice how here I made that mistake while I was typing low blood pressure, and then I realized that's kind of weird because low blood pressure is also bad, right? So low blood pressure, high blood pressure are both bad. And if you realize that you make a mistake while you're speaking, it's absolutely a good idea to stop yourself and correct, whether it's an information mistake or a language mistake. Self-correction will actually lead to better band scores. Okay, so I'm going to add that in back here so you can see that mistake. So here, that was an information mistake on my part because low blood pressure is actually not that good if you know about blood pressure. Self-correction is good, okay? Everybody makes mistakes with either content or language while speaking, even native speakers. Making corrections is a good idea. Don't just ignore it if you catch it, okay? All right? Nadia says it's normal blood pressure. Yeah, normal blood pressure is good. Okay, so if you catch yourself making a content or language mistake, correct yourself. And it's easy to do, okay? What I mean is, and then continue, okay? That's all you need to do. Okay, and I'm going to leave you with that last note, so practice that. Here are a couple more questions. You can practice these questions on our websites in the student speaking chat. GIELTShelp.com for general, AEhelp.com for academic. Students, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. Remember, I will be back on Wednesday. Our regular schedule is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for these live classes. Spend a couple dollars, join thousands of students who learn with us to improve their English and get high band scores on IELTS. AEhelp.com for academic IELTS. GIELTShelp.com for general. We're one of the only companies that actually completely tries to separate these two modules or versions of IELTS because they are different groups. So choose the right one. That's it for today. Thank you so much. There was a lot of great effort, by the way. You all deserve a good pat on the back. You've done a fantastic job this week. Keep that up, and you will see improvement. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So just keep pushing forward. You're all beautiful, brilliant, smart people. Look in the mirror and remind yourselves of that. It's very important. Stay positive always. Bye for now, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Much love to all of you. I'm Adrian, signing out from Europe. Bye.